she finally came back home, only to discover the man she loved in the village was actually a billionaire CEO, the man who controlled the most powerful companies in the city. Her heart skipped. Her breath caught. This wasn't the life she knew. This wasn't the man she thought she loved. And then, everything shattered. Because the man she loved was about to marry her adopted sister. It was supposed to be a simple family trip. Nothing dangerous, just a quiet escape from the city. "Stay close," Mrs. Kingston said gently, adjusting the little girl's dress. "I will, Mommy," Elena replied with a bright smile. She was 6, curious, full of life. That afternoon was lively, children running, people talking, everything normal. "Daddy, can I go see the horses?" she asked. "Only near the fence. Don't go far," he replied. "I won't," she said, running off. Minutes passed, then more. "Where's Elena?" her mother asked. Her father looked around. The fence, the path, the crowd. Nothing. "Elena!" her mother called. Then louder. "Elena!" No response. Panic spread. Staff were alerted. People searched everywhere. A small shoe was found near the edge of the property. That's when fear became real. Search teams came. Lights filled the night. Voices called her name. But Elena was gone. Days turned into weeks. Hope slowly faded. 3 years later, the search ended. "She's gone," her father said quietly. Her mother broke down, and in that silence, they made a decision. The house became too quiet, too empty. Every corner reminded them of her. "We can't live like this," Mr. Kingston said one evening. "I'm not replacing her," his wife whispered. "You're not," he replied. "We're saving ourselves." That's how Sophia entered their lives. She was perfect, beautiful, polite. "I'll make you happy," she said softly. And she did. They gave her everything, the same love, the same attention. But Sophia noticed something early. This love came from loss, not from her. And slowly, it changed her. "Why is this still here?" she said coldly to a maid one afternoon. "I'm sorry, miss." Sorry doesn't fix incompetence. The maid lowered her head. Later, Mrs. Kingston said gently, "You should be kinder." Sophia smiled sweetly. "I am." But when she turned away, her expression changed. Cold, possessive. This wasn't just a home to her. It was hers. Years passed. Sophia became everything the family wanted. Elegant, confident, admired. But underneath, she was sharp. She controlled the house. The staff feared her. And in her mind, everything belonged to her. The love, the future, the power. She wasn't going to share it. Not with anyone. Not even with a ghost from the past. Far away in the countryside, life was simple. "Elena, slow down," an elderly woman called. "If I slow down, nothing gets done." Elena laughed. Her clothes were simple, her hands rough from work, but her smile was real. She didn't remember the past, not the city, not her family, only this life. These people. That was enough. Until one day, everything changed. A car arrived, and a man stepped out. Different, silent, watching. When Elna looked at him, something shifted. Her life was about to change. 3 black SUVs rolled into the village. People gathered immediately. "Who is he?" Voices whispered. Ethan stepped out, calm, controlled, out of place. "We want to acquire this land," he said. Laughter broke out. "This is our home! We don't sell our land!" Tension rose quickly. Everything has a price, Ethan said. That made it worse. Voices grew louder. Anger spread. Stop! Elena's voice cut through the crowd. She stepped forward calmly. Did you come to understand us, or just take from us? Ethan looked at her, interested. I came to build something bigger. And destroy what already exists, she replied. Silence fell. You don't win people, she said softly. You earn them. For the first time, Ethan had no immediate answer. That evening, Ethan stood alone near the fields. You should leave tomorrow, Elena said. Why? He asked. They won't trust you. And you understand them? I live here, she replied. A pause. Then help me understand, he said. She blinked, surprised. Why? Because I don't lose. She smiled slightly. That's not how this works here. Then she added softly, you don't win people. You earn them. Something about her stayed with him. He didn't leave the next day. Instead, he stayed. Not as a businessman, but as someone trying to understand. And Elena stayed close. Not because she trusted him, but because she wanted to see if someone like him could change. That was where everything began. Rain came suddenly, heavy, unforgiving. Ethan got caught outside, soaked, lost. Over here, Elena called. He ran to her. You're not built for this place, she said. I noticed, he replied. For a moment, they both almost smiled. Her home was small but warm. An elderly couple welcomed him without questions. Sit, they said. He wasn't used to this. Dinner was simple. You eat what we eat, Elena said. He took a bite, then another. City boy can eat village food, the old man joked. Ethan didn't respond, but something softened. That night, rain tapped softly outside. You're still thinking about the land, Elena said. They'll never agree, he replied. Then you're asking the wrong way. And what's the right way? At them, not the land. Silence. You see property. They see home. That stayed with him. And does your world make you happy? She asked. He paused. I don't think happiness was ever the goal. She nodded. That's why you don't understand this place. The next day, Ethan tried to help in the fields. He failed, badly. He slipped, fell, got laughed at, but he kept trying, again and again. Elena watched, at first amused, then surprised, because he wasn't pretending. He was trying. That evening, he stood before the villagers. I was wrong, he said. Silence. I thought money would solve everything. It doesn't. Then why are you still here? The village head asked. Because I want to do this right. What does that mean? You don't lose your home. Murmurs spread. We build with you, not over you. The tension shifted. Not gone, but changing. As the sun set, Elena stood beside him. You surprised them, she said. You surprised me first, he replied. A quiet moment passed. If I succeed here, he said. She looked at him. It will be because of you. She paused, then said softly, then don't fail. For the first time, he almost smiled. Days passed, and the village slowly changed. People who once ignored Ethan now spoke to him. Not warmly, but not with anger either. He worked with them, ate with them, listened, and Elena stayed close. You're learning, she said one afternoon. I had a good teacher, he replied. She smiled faintly. For the first time, silence between them felt comfortable. But moments like that don't last forever. That same evening, a car arrived, different from his, more official, more serious. Elena frowned. Something felt wrong. Two men stepped out, suits, formal, out of place. "Miss Elena Kingston?" one of them asked. She froze. That name didn't feel familiar. "I think you're mistaken," she said slowly. The man handed her a file. Inside were photos, old ones, a child, a family, a mansion. Her face, younger, smiling, her hands trembled. "This isn't possible. We've been looking for you," the man said calmly. "Your parents are waiting." Silence fell around her. The world she knew cracked. She turned to Ethan, confused, lost. "I don't understand." He didn't speak, but his expression had changed. Everything was about to change. The next morning, she left the village, not by choice, but because the truth had found her. Elena sat quietly in the car, staring out the window. The road stretched endlessly ahead. "Your family never stopped searching," one of the men said. She didn't respond. Her hands rested on her lap, tight, uncertain. She glanced back once, the village fading behind her. Ethan stood at a distance, watching, silent. He didn't stop her. He couldn't. But something in his eyes said enough. This wasn't the end. The mansion was bigger than anything she remembered. Cold, quiet, unfamiliar. The moment she stepped inside, a woman ran toward her. "Elena!" Tears filled her eyes. "It's really you." Before she could react, she was pulled into a tight embrace. "I thought I lost you." Elena stood frozen. She didn't know how to respond. This woman was her mother, but it didn't feel like it. Not yet. Across the room, a man stood quietly, watching her. Her father. And beside him, Sophia, her eyes sharp, unwelcoming, calculating. Sophia stepped forward slowly. "So, you're the lost daughter." Her tone was calm, but her eyes said everything. Elena nodded slightly. "I didn't know." "Of course you didn't," Sophia cut in. A faint smile appeared on her lips. "But now you're here." A pause. And everything changes. Mrs. Kingston turned sharply. "Sophia, I'm just being honest," she said sweetly. But when she looked at Elena again, the sweetness disappeared. This wasn't welcome. This was war. Days passed, but Elena couldn't adjust. The clothes, the space, the silence. It didn't feel like home. It felt like a place she didn't belong. Meanwhile, preparations were underway. A grand engagement, Sophia's engagement. "To a very powerful man," Mrs. Kingston said proudly. "Elena, you should attend." She nodded quietly. She didn't care. Until the day arrived. The hall was filled with luxury. Lights, music, wealth. Elena stood at the edge of the room, wearing a simple, elegant dress. Uncomfortable. Out of place. "Stay close," her mother whispered. Then the announcement came. "Please welcome the groom." The doors opened. Footsteps echoed. Calm, measured, familiar. Elena turned and froze. Ethan, dressed in a sharp black suit, confident, powerful, different. Her breath caught. "You!" Their eyes locked. Shock. Silence. Everything stopped. Across the room, Sophia smiled proudly. "That's my fiancé," she said. And in that moment, Elena realized the truth. He wasn't just a man from the village. He was the billionaire, the CEO, and he was about to marry the wrong woman. The room didn't move. Elena's eyes stayed locked on Ethan. "You never told me," she whispered. Ethan didn't respond immediately, because there was nothing simple to say. Before he could speak, Sophia stepped in, sliding her hand into his arm, possessive, deliberate. "Of course he didn't," she said with a smile. "Why would he?" Her eyes shifted to Elena, sharp, warning. "Some people don't belong in certain worlds." The words landed, but Elena didn't react. Not outwardly, she simply stepped back. "I didn't know," she said quietly. Then she turned, ready to walk away. And that's when Ethan moved. "Stay." One word. Low. Firm. The room felt it. So did Sophia. Sophia's smile didn't break, but her grip tightened slightly on Ethan's arm. "Everyone's watching," she whispered under her breath. "Don't do anything stupid." Ethan slowly removed her hand, calm, controlled, but final. That small action said everything. Murmurs spread across the room. Sophia laughed lightly, trying to recover. "Don't misunderstand," she said quickly. "He's just being polite." But her eyes had changed. The control was slipping, and she felt it later that night. The house was quiet, but not peaceful. Sophia stood in front of the mirror, her expression cracked. "He was supposed to be mine," she whispered. Her reflection didn't answer. Memories flashed. The attention, the power, the life she built. "I won't lose everything," she said coldly. The next morning, she made her move. "Elena is lying," she told her parents calmly. They looked at her, confused. "She's trying to take my place." Her mother frowned. "Sophia, she's manipulating him," Sophia continued. "You don't see it because you feel guilty." Silence. Then her father spoke. Enough. His voice was different, firm, disappointed. "We've watched you," he said slowly. "Your behavior, your attitude." Sophia froze. For the first time, her mask slipped. "You don't mean that," she said. But they did. And she knew it. The engagement dinner was called off. Officially, postponed. But everyone knew the truth. Sophia stood in the empty hall, alone. The silence was louder than anything. Meanwhile, Elena packed her things quietly. She didn't belong here. Not in this chaos. Not in this life. She picked up her bag and turned, only to see Ethan at the door. "You're leaving," he said. "Yes." A pause. "You don't even want an explanation." She looked at him. Soft. Honest. "You were already promised to someone else." "That doesn't matter." "It does to me," she replied. Silence. Then, "I didn't know it was you," he said. "And if I did?" He stepped closer. "Nothing would have been arranged." Her breath caught slightly, but she stayed calm. "You should have told me who you were." "And lost the only place where someone saw me as normal." That hit her hard. Days later, the city moved on. News spread quietly. A broken engagement, a powerful CEO, a mysterious woman. But the truth was much deeper. Outside the mansion gates, Elena stood one last time, not lost, not confused, but certain. Ethan stepped out, walking toward her. No hesitation this time. "No contracts," he said. "No arrangements." A pause. "Just me." Elena looked at him. The man from the village, the man from the city. The same person. "Why?" she asked softly. "Because you chose me before you knew who I was." Silence. Then, she smiled. Not the uncertain smile from before, but something real, something steady. "I'll stay," she said. And this time, it wasn't because she had nowhere to go. It was because she chose him too. Across the street, Sophia watched, hidden, broken, realizing too late. Power wasn't what she lost. It was something she never understood.
The restaurant had been silent for 3 seconds before anyone realized why. Not the polite silence of a fine dining establishment, not the hushed reverence of wealth at rest. This was the silence of 47 people simultaneously deciding not to breathe, because Kang Tae-hyun had walked through the door. It spread like a cold front, table by table, from the entrance outward. Forks lowered. Conversations evaporated mid-sentence. A sommelier who had been mid-pour simply stopped, wine hanging in the air above the glass, as if physics had taken a moment to reconsider. He moved like a storm given human form. Black coat. Cold eyes. 3 men flanking him in perfect formation, their hands loose at their sides, the way hands are loose when they are always ready. The maître d' did not check the reservation. He simply stepped aside and pressed himself against the wall, and the path to the VIP section cleared, as if the crowd had practiced this exact choreography. No one spoke his name, aloud. They didn't need to. The whispers moved faster than sound. "It's him." "Don't look directly." "Is that?" "Yes. Yes, it is." In the kitchen, separated from all of this by 2 steel doors and the noise of industrial dishwashers, Zuri Kim was elbow-deep in soapy water and thinking about nothing except whether she could afford to replace Jae-min's sneakers before his birthday. She had been working the closing shift for 8 months, had memorized every crack in the floor tiles, had learned to tune out the noise from the dining room, the way you learn to tune out traffic when you live near a highway. She did not hear the silence fall. She did not know that her son, who was supposed to be asleep in the staff break room 2 doors down, had pushed open a door he was tall enough to reach now, wandered through a hallway, and toddled on unsteady legs directly into the most dangerous room in Seoul. The child was 2 years and 4 months old. He had his mother's wide, curious eyes and a smile that arrived on his face with the slowness of sunrise, lazy and warm and total. He did not understand what suits meant, or what the cold expression on the tall man's face was communicating to the room. He understood only that the tall man smelled faintly of cedar, the same way the stuffed bear on his bed smelled, and that the tall man's leg was exactly the right height for hugging. So he hugged it. Both arms, cheek pressed to the man's knee, with absolute commitment, the way only a child or a saint can commit to anything. 2 guards moved at the same instant, hands already reaching. Kang Tae-hyun's voice came out like a blade hitting stone. "Don't." They stopped. The child looked up. He had the pure, unearned confidence of someone who has never been told no by the universe, who has never encountered a face that was not softened by the sight of him. He blinked his enormous eyes at the man above him. He considered the man's expression with the philosophical seriousness that toddlers reserve for the truly important questions. Then he said it. "Dada." The word was so small, so simple. 2 syllables that meant nothing and everything, that children say to strangers sometimes without malice, without understanding, without the faintest concept of what they are detonating. Every person in that room who was still breathing stopped. Kang Tae-hyun, the man they called the Ice King, the man who had restructured the entire criminal landscape of 3 districts by the age of 32, the man who had not shown a flicker of emotion at his own father's funeral, went absolutely, completely still. Something moved across his face. It was not softness. It was not warmth. It was something older and more dangerous than either of those things. Recognition. He stared down at the child. The child stared back up at him, still holding onto his leg with both small fists, grinning now because the tall man had not walked away. Then the tray hit the floor. The crash came from the edge of the dining room near the kitchen entrance, and it shattered the frozen tableau like a stone through ice. Zuri stood at the threshold, one hand still raised in the position it had been in when the tray left her fingers, her face the color of old ash. She had been looking for Jae-min for 40 seconds. 40 seconds of escalating panic, checking under tables in the break room, opening supply closet doors, calling his name in the careful, quiet, loud way you call a child's name when you do not want to alarm anyone, but you are already alarmed. And then she had pushed through the kitchen door and looked across the dining room and seen her son, in his arms. Not in the arms of a stranger, in the arms of a man she had spent 3 years teaching herself to forget. Kang Tae-hyun looked up from the child. Their eyes met across the restaurant. 3 years collapsed to nothing. Every wall she had built, every morning she had woken up and chosen survival over grief, every time she had looked at Jae-min's face and forced herself not to see the man looking back at her. All of it was gone in the space between one heartbeat and the next. She walked forward. Her legs were moving before her mind gave the instruction. "Put him down." Her voice came out steadier than she felt. Much steadier. She was proud of it and horrified by it at the same time. Jae-min twisted in what were now, she realized, Tae-hyun's arms. He had lifted the child without her noticing the moment, and the sight of Jae-min held against that chest, looking perfectly content, perfectly unafraid, made something in Zuri's chest tear down the middle. "Put him down," she said again, stopping 3 feet away. Close enough to grab her son. Not close enough to touch the man holding him. Tae-hyun looked at her for a long time without moving. The expression on his face was not the one she remembered from their worst moments or their best ones. It was something new, something she had no name for. "How old is he?" he said. "He's not yours to ask about." Zuri. The way he said her name, quiet, controlled, stripped of everything except the word itself, hit her like a physical thing. She held his gaze anyway. "Give me my son." Jae-min had twisted to look at her now, his little face bright with the uncomplicated joy of a child who has found his mother in a new place. "Mama." Tae-hyun lowered the boy slowly, carefully, until small feet touched the floor. Jo-min immediately ran to Zuri and attached himself to her leg in an almost exact mirror of what he'd done to Tae-hyun moments before. She pressed her hand to his back, kept her eyes on the man in front of her. "We're going to leave now," she said. "You still haven't answered me. I don't owe you anything." She stepped back. "I never did." She turned and walked away. The staff parted around her. No one stopped her. Not even the men who had been reaching for weapons 5 minutes ago, who now stood exactly where they were because Tae-hyun had not moved and had not spoken, and they had learned to read his stillness the way sailors read weather. He watched her go. Then he said, very quietly, to the man on his left, "Confirm it." 3 years earlier, Zuri had been sitting in a cafe near Hongik University with a coffee she couldn't really afford and a textbook she was trying very hard to understand when someone slid into the seat across from her without asking. She looked up, prepared to be annoyed. She was not annoyed. He was not what she would have chosen if she'd been choosing. Too quiet. Too contained. The kind of man who looked at you like he was filing information rather than making conversation. But he had the book she'd been looking for on the library shelf for 2 weeks tucked under his arm, and when she pointed at it with the automatic accusation of a desperate student, he had laughed. Actually laughed. And handed it across the table before she could finish the sentence. "I've already read it," he said. "Keep it. I can't just take your book. You're not taking it. I'm giving it. That's not how it works. It is when I decide it is." She had given him the look that statement deserved. He had looked back at her without flinching, And this was the thing she had never quite been able to explain, he had smiled. Small and deliberate and entirely real. And she had thought, there is someone inside this person that almost no one gets to see. She had been right, and she had been completely wrong about what that meant. The months that followed were the most careful romance she had ever experienced. He was never casual, never careless. He showed up exactly when he said he would. He listened, like listening was a skill he had decided to master. He asked questions that assumed she was intelligent, which she found, absurdly, more attractive than compliments. She asked him once what he did for work. He said, management. She asked what he managed. He said, problems. She thought he was being mysterious, in the way people are mysterious when they work in finance or consulting and find their jobs too boring to explain. She did not push. She learned the truth at a charity gala she had no business attending, in a dress he had arranged to appear in her apartment without explanation. She had gone because she was curious, and because he had asked her in that way he had. Not a request, not a command, something in between that made refusal feel like a philosophical error. She had stood in a room full of people whose wealth she could feel like a change in air pressure. And she had heard two men near the bar, voices lowered, talking about Kang Tae-hyun, the way people talk about weather, as a fact of life, uncontrollable and absolute. They found the Daejeon man in the river this morning. And the distribution network? Already transitioned, he doesn't leave loose ends. She had set down her champagne very carefully and found him across the room and looked at him differently for the first time. He had seen her looking, and she had watched him understand, in real time, that she understood. He came to her that night and told her the truth, all of it. The way people confess when they have decided to confess and intend to do it properly. She sat across from him and listened and felt the world she had been building quietly dismantle itself around her. I want out, he said. Not today, not this year, but I want out, and I've never wanted anything before that. That's not a promise, she said. No, he agreed. It's not. She stayed anyway, because she had already seen the person inside the container, and she didn't know how to unsee him, because he was careful with her in a way that felt like it cost him something. Because she was 23 and had never loved anyone with this particular quality of desperation, and she was not yet wise enough to know that love without safety is not love. It's just longing. There were good months. She would always remember the good months, even later, when they became painful to remember. Late nights in his apartment, talking until the city outside changed from night sounds to morning sounds. Him listening to her describe her graduate thesis with the focused attention of a man who found everything she thought genuinely interesting. He never asked her to be less than she was. He never required small talk. He met her exactly where she was, which was rarer than it sounded and more valuable than she had known to look for. The gala was 6 weeks later. Different venue, same crowd, more champagne, and then the sound of breaking glass, and then the specific, unmistakable crack that she had never heard before, but recognized instantly in the animal part of her brain. Gunfire. She ran. Everyone ran. She lost him in the chaos and found a stairwell and pressed herself into it, shaking, listening to sounds she couldn't parse from inside the walls of a building that had suddenly become a place where people were trying to kill each other. She found out 3 days later that he had survived. She found out the same day from a conversation she was not meant to hear between two men she should not have been near, in a parking garage below a building she visited for reasons she would never explain afterward, that the men who had tried to kill him knew about her. The woman, the foreign student, she's a liability. Has he moved to protect her? Not yet. Which means she's not protected. A pause. Deal with it. She was in her apartment 15 minutes later, packed in 20, gone in 30. She had left a note, 7 words that she had written and thrown away and written again. I heard them. I can't stay. Sorry. She had been 4 weeks pregnant. She didn't know that yet. The DNA results came back on a Tuesday from a sample Tae-hyun's men had gathered from a cup Jae-min had used and left on a table in the restaurant during the confusion of that night. Tae-hyun sat in his office, a room that contained nothing personal, nothing soft, nothing that could be used to understand him, and stared at the number on the paper for a long time. 99.9% probability of paternity. Such a cold, clinical number for such a devastating thing. A percentage, as though the universe could be summarized in decimals, as though the thing happening inside him right now had anything to do with probability. He had known from the moment he looked down at the child in the restaurant, from the second those eyes had found his face. But knowing a thing and having it confirmed were 2 different experiences, and the confirmation moved through him in a way he had not been moved in 3 years. He had spent those 3 years in a particular kind of cold. Not grief. He didn't grant himself the vocabulary of grief, because grief implied a loss he hadn't chosen, and he had told himself she had chosen to leave him, had chosen whatever threat she perceived over, whatever they had been to each other. He had turned that cold into efficiency. He had run his empire with a precision that frightened people who thought they understood him already. He had not let anyone in. He had not wanted anyone in. He put the paper down and did something he never did. He sat in silence and did not plan. He thought about a child laughing. He thought about a woman's hand pressed to a small boy's back, and the particular angle of protection in the gesture, and the steadiness in her voice when it should have cracked. He thought about a note. 7 words. He had the note still. It was the only thing he had kept. The next morning, without telling anyone what he was doing or why, he arranged for 3 men to maintain a rotating watch around Zuri's apartment building. He had the surveillance cameras in her neighborhood that belonged to a rival's network remotely disabled. He had the restaurant she worked at quietly purchased through a shell company registered under a name that could not be traced back to him in fewer than 40 steps. He did not